Tonight I wanted to do a little bit more in depth to the budget talks that we've been talking about. And I'd like to thank Andrew, because Andrew, I think your lead-in actually did a good job of forecasting exactly what I'm going to talk about tonight. So mine really has three themes that I want to talk about. I want to talk about preserving, building trust, and building for the future, because those are three things that are imperative for a school district when looking at our future and looking at our budget and looking at how we have to plan based off of what our economic history is and what we've done to this district in the past, and especially for me as a new superintendent here, what some of these priorities are as we move forward. So everybody has seen our budget facts. We've showed it a ton of times. Our little over $28 million budget, a budget-to-budget growth of 4.76%, a tax levy increase of 12% exceeding the tax cap, which is a gamble that we're taking. And it's a gamble we're taking because it's what we feel that we need as a district to move forward, to sustain what we have, to preserve the academic programming we have, and to build for the future of our students and our staff. And so, in looking at that, reductions that we've already done this school year, from last school year to this school year. We had a high school science position come open in the summer that we did not fill. We've had 2 clerk positions that we've realigned and not filled. And we had an assistant transportation supervisor who left mid-year, who we have not appointed anyone to that position, and we are abolishing that position tonight in our board agenda along with those other 3 positions. Now, we are still supporting our transportation office by giving a bus driver additional hours to help in our transportation office with office work that we need to get done in order to manage the fleet we have, the athletic programs that we have with our merged sports, and our DOT updates and everything else that goes on in our transportation office. Remember, our transportation office is responsible every day for safely transporting our kids to and from school and events. So those 4 positions were all 4 positions that were in our budget last year for this year that we've already reduced throughout this school year. Preserving staff and academic programming. This has been our theme this entire process. Preserve, preserve, preserve. It would really be an easy way to sit here and say, we're going to cut another 14, 16 positions and make more deep cuts to the academic programming in the future of our students. But that wasn't the approach we took. The approach we took was to preserve what we have to build for the future. To build for knowing that we have retirements on the horizon, to build for knowing we have some very talented and gifted teachers that support our students every single day and staff. And so part of that is making sure that we retain all tenure track teaching positions. And I say tenure track teaching positions because we currently have a handful of positions in the building that are long-term leaves that would really be dictated on us replacing based off of need and the budget. But our number 1 priority is retaining all our tenure track teaching positions, retain all of our support staff that we have that support our students every single day. Administrative realignment. This is something new that we haven't openly talked about, but we all know that we have an associate principal retiring. Congratulations, Ralph. This would be not replacing that position with an administrator, but replacing that position with a TOSA position that would handle discipline in the high school as a dean of students and an athletic director. So it would be a combined 2 positions into 1. Now that becomes a collaborative effort on 3 different places. 1, our current athletic director position is held within our teacher's contract. The work of a dean of students, of discipline of students, is an administrative task. And so it's a collaborative effort for me and those 2 bargaining units to make that position work. What that does is preserves one of our current teaching positions that we have. And when you look at our declining enrollment that we have in our high school and in our district as a whole, the ability for one individual to be able to manage student discipline and athletics is a job a person can be successful in and can be very promising for our district. Part of that administrative realignment would be taking a person who's also currently on a TOSA as our Director of Special Ed and making them an administrator at a very small, if any, impact to our budget, so that individual could help and support APPR observations and take more ownership in state reporting and supporting our students K-12 through the lens of special ed. So those would be the two administrative realignments. With that would be continuing to keep the Dean of Students in our elementary school to support our teachers in the elementary school and our students in the elementary school. And then we would continue to evaluate positions through attrition, because we all know and we've all seen that from now to the time school starts, there's always movement, right? There's always movement with individuals exploring other professional opportunities or people deciding to make different personal choices. And so it's our goal, it's our job that every time we have an opening in our district that we have to evaluate it and look at, is that a position we need to continue to fill in the same capacity and same way we have? Or do we now reimagine what that position could be to better meet the needs of our students and our staff in our district? Preserving academic programming. This is at the heart of instruction and is at the heart of what our students do every day and our staff does every day, right? We've been able to preserve our commitment to the Studi Adirondack Early Career Academy for our students, to continue that path for them. We've increased the number of students who we are sending to career and technical education next year, continuing to support our UPK program, the special education services that we have in our building to support our students, to continue to support the academic intervention services the way we currently are, with being able to be very coordinated and deliberate with math and reading instruction in the elementary school and at the high school level, and then also being able to support our teachers in the classroom in the elementary. Those are the academic programs that's at the heart of this budget at 12%. Being able to preserve that and be able to provide those opportunities for our students. Building trust. This is the biggest. When you think about something that you can't always just put a finger on. You know it when you see it, you know it when you feel it. Building trust is a huge piece, right? As a new superintendent to this district, to this community, to this teaching staff, to all of you, what I say is what I believe in, and what I say is what I'm going to do. And so when I say I want to create a budget that preserves the academic programming to build for the future, and we make commitments to our students and our staff and our community to do that, that is building trust. And where we started that this year is through our community connections, with going out to the town meetings and presenting this very early and often and answering questions and being very transparent and open, listening to our community, listening to their needs and their wants, being able to have those discussions. I've had a great collaborative approach with all of our bargaining units this year. I've made a comment very early on, I think even before I started, when I met with our teachers union. I spent more time with the two co-presidents of our CFA before I even came on as the superintendent than I did with any other piece. And making sure that we continue that work as we move through this process, because we know that this is not a one-year thing. We know to get out of where we need to be financially, that it's going to take hard decisions and hard discussions and disagreements, but being able to see that what we're doing is working for the betterment of our students and our community. And the only way we do that is with a collaborative approach from all possible positions. And then being fiscally responsible. Everyone heard the presentation that Dr. Rick Timms came in and did as an independent person looking at our financials and the history of the district. I can't point fingers back at other individuals or administrators or superintendents blaming them. I wasn't here, I wasn't part of those discussions, but it's our job to make sure that we move in the right direction going forward, to be fiscally responsible for our community and to be able to provide for our students. And at this time, that means going out and trying to get a 12% budget increase to preserve the academic programming and support that we have for our students. Building for the future. What does the future look like? Well, the future in New York State looks like this. A portrait of a graduate, which I was very surprised when I sat in on a meeting 2 months ago with our technology committee, that not many people have heard of this. But this has been out in New York State for multiple years. You ask, where do we have to go as an academic institution moving forward? Well, in the state of New York, they roadmapped it for us. It might be the only thing they roadmapped correctly for school districts over the last 10 years. Right? We have to academically prepare our students. They have to be effective communicators, global citizens. They have to be able to be reflective and future-focused, be creative innovators and critical thinkers. That's the roadmap that we have to set our students and staff up to meet. Now that looks very different in every school district, right? Whether it's here in Cambridge or at Niskayuna or Shaker or Lake George, the roadmap is the same. How we get there is going to be different, but our outcomes are expected to be the same. We can't do that for our district with less than 12% right now. We can't do that for our district without going and preserving what we have and building for a future. That's our future roadmap. You can see between the two graphics, the state outlined what all 6 of those things are. It's our job to identify how we get our students to be all those things and what that path is. Because the state is saying these graduates will be equipped with the interpersonal and intellectual skills needed to thrive in an interconnected, ever-evolving world. We see it more now than ever. Technology moves faster than what we can do, and if we don't prepare our students to be able to think outside the box, think on their feet, understand the world that they're living in, and be innovative, we're not doing our job. And currently, to get that, to build that foundation, to start to move that work in the right direction, is the reason we have decided to go for 12%. I sat in a room of every superintendent from the 32 component districts this week, and we all had to sit there and say, what is our budget to budget increase year to year? What is our percent, and what are we going out at? I was one of maybe 2 going for a supermajority. And I simply stood up and said, our budget to budget increase is 4.64%. We're going for 12% because the students and staff of Cambridge need it. And it's a true statement. And that's what we need as we move forward. That's our roadmap. That's the vision. Now it's our job to fill in those boxes with our staff and our students to create what that looks like here in Cambridge. Our tax impact. We've talked about this. Currently at 12%, using the fund balance that we've talked about, that is the dollars assessed on a home value, right? It's easier for individuals to see dollar amounts than percent figures, so we've talked about this throughout the year. Our contingent budget, our worst case scenario. This is not what we want. This is not what we want. This does not help our students. This does not get us on the roadmap to creating that. This puts us backwards. Additional possible reductions if we go to a contingent budget would be co-curricular programming reductions, professional support providers, administrative positions, and athletic offerings. Those would all be areas that we would have to look at as a district and as a team to reduce even more to get to a contingency budget. That's not a school district that we want. That's not a community-based school district that's going to support our students and staff moving forward. But that's the reality if we fall to a contingent budget. Our next steps is we'll have our formal budget hearing on Tuesday, May 5th at 7 o'clock. We'll have our budget vote on Tuesday, May 19th from 12 to 8 in the high school gym. We anticipate a large voter turnout. My hope is that we've done and will continue to do the job of communicating the things we need and why we're going for what we're going for and how it supports our students and our staff in this community every day. Questions?
Any specific questions? No, I would just say thank you, James. I know obviously there have been a lot of conversations, a lot of feedback. I know there's been a lot of analysis, a lot of research that's gone into this, a lot of collaboration, and even the conversations I've had in the community. People have appreciated the transparency because the questions that are getting asked are frequently asked questions, and ones that get directly asked via email or people stopping in, they all get answered none of the questions are blown off, and I'm not getting any feedback that people aren't getting the answers they're asking. So we do appreciate the work that's gone into this. I know it's a challenge, but it's definitely a new strategy that the district has not taken before, but we're looking long term. And obviously we're kind of coming out with the aggressive start, as we've stated from previous meetings. But the aggressive approach for a couple of years and then kind of stabilizing over time. Definitely a longer range look. So just thank you for the work that you put into it. I appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. And the update we've gotten from New York State on the budget is we can now look at probably mid-May for a budget approval, is what we heard on Tuesday from our lobbyist group in Albany, is that we probably won't see a budget until mid-May. Maybe they're wrong.
That's good inside information. They did the fourth extender today.
Yep.
Gets us to Thursday.
But nobody's there.
Monday.
Nobody's currently there, right?
Nobody's there now.
Correct. So what we're hearing is mid-May, which puts us right at our budget vote. And the two-house bill gives us an additional 1% as of right now, which would be great. That's a position. It's programming for us.
Yeah, the legislature wants 2%.
Correct.
The governor wants 1%.
Yep.
So they're going to meet probably somewhere.
We're in the middle. So, but yeah. So thank you.
Thank you, James.
Thanks, James.